Hello and welcome back to another episode of The Pulse, where we give you a heartbeat on the world of real estate. Today I have not one, but two very special guests today to tell us about the wonderful world of insurance. We have with us today Miss Christina Woods and Mr. AJ Brown over at Alpha Insurance here locally in Madison, Mississippi. Even if you are not in Mississippi and you are watching this, they will be able to help give you some great tips, tricks, and things to look out for when you are getting homeowners insurance. So, without further ado, AJ, Christina, thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you
us.
for having us.
Absolutely. So I feel like we're going to be kind of opening a huge can of worms when it comes to insurance in general. But what I'd love to get from both of you first is just how you got involved in real estate at all, or in insurance on the homeowner side.
Yeah. Okay. So actually, I started back in 2022. That was my first year, and I started August 19th. Actually, I still remember the day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know.
Cool.
Isn't that crazy? Like the actual day.
Right.
But it was an exciting opportunity, and I was ready, and I needed something different, and I had been in insurance, but on the medical side.
Oh.
And so diving into this was just like brand new, but exciting, and I was ready to go all in.
I know it's biased, but which is more exciting, the medical side or this side?
I personally love the PNC side, so
Perfect.
I'm all
Now,
about it.
For my layman out there,
Uh-huh.
what is PNC?
That's property and casualty.
Property and casualty. So
Yes.
everything in the house, outside the house.
That's right.
Perfect.
That's right.
Mr. AJ.
Yep, so for me, I got my start in insurance back when I was in college through Crime America. So we had a guy coming around and he was trying to recruit college students, and that was my introduction to insurance. Then from there, I went to Allstate, and I went to Allstate for a while, and I went to Penn Global. There I did Medicare and life insurance,
Yes.
and now I've been with Alpha for a while, so
So you also got a taste of the medical side.
I did. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Here we are on PNC. So obviously both of y'all did something right. You
Right.
know?
That's right. That's right. I think so.
And then y'all found each other, of
We
course.
did. We found each other, and right from the very start, the interview went great, and I think that AJ was a perfect fit.
Yeah.
He was my missing piece, and I think that we've worked well
Appreciate
together.
that. Yeah.
He takes care of me, and I feel like I take care of you.
Yeah,
so
you do. Yeah.
I think
I'll
we do
make
that.
sure to slip you a 20 after we're done. That was real nice. No, that's fantastic. And look, y'all have some great cohesiveness, and I mean, obviously you like them enough to do a podcast with them and
Yes.
be seen in public with them.
That's
so.
right.
Well, that is fantastic. We'll just jump right into this. I mean, we've talked so far. This is episode 3 now. So we've talked to a real estate agent, we've talked to a mortgage lender, and now we're talking to you guys on the insurance side. Very, very important stuff.
Right.
But why is it important? So we'll start there with what makes homeownership so important, and then we'll dive into maybe where in the process y'all fit in.
Okay. Absolutely. So the homeownership process, of course, having home insurance is so important to be able to secure your biggest investment. And why we say the biggest investment is because usually a home is going to be your number one purchase, your biggest purchase, right? Your 30-year commitment, if you will.
Not the first time we said that on this podcast already.
Right. And so, a lot of people think of it like signing their life away. You're going to be going in there and signing all these papers, but I think that having the peace of mind and being able to lay your head down at night in your home and knowing that your insurance is going to be there for you if anything happens to that large purchase and your investment, that it's going to be able to be replaced and that it's going to be able to be fixed. It's going to be made whole again.
Right.
I think that that's so important.
Yeah.
And it's not completely coming out of your own pocket.
That's right. So the only thing that you're responsible for is your deductible. So I think that that's wonderful. And then of course you always want to just plan for the unknown.
Right.
And so insurance, of course, is something that we wish we didn't have to pay for, but it's good and we love it when we need it, right?
Right.
When we need, that's the biggest part, is when we need it. Because look, I'll sit here across from y'all and tell you I don't like having to pay for insurance.
Right. Absolutely.
But when it does happen, something does happen, I am thankful it is there.
Right.
And so on the deductible piece, that does have me curious, and AJ, I'll direct this to you. there are different options for deductibles, but those are changing all the time. So where I guess, what are the common deductible pathways you can take when setting up your homeowner's insurance these days?
Yeah. So the thing you want to keep in mind is how much are you comfortable with paying out of pocket after you have to file a claim.
Okay.
And the thing is, the higher your deductible is, the lower your premium, and vice versa.
Okay.
So you want to find that balance, that sweet spot for you.
Yes.
That makes sense. The day after you have to file a claim, you don't have to be out of pocket too much. Right? You want something that you can, you don't want to bite off more than you can chew.
That's right.
Gotcha.
A lot of people focus on the coverage, but your deductible is very important as well.
Right. And I do want to get to the coverage. I've seen, though, with deductibles, just in my line of work, I get to look at the insurance quotes you guys give us.
Right.
I've seen insurance agencies go from flat deductibles, $1,000, $2,500, $5,000.
Right.
They've gone more towards the percentage-based deductible. Is that right?
Right.
So what is there a reason for that change?
Absolutely. And that being that, a roof is probably the number one expense when it comes to something that's going to have to be replaced on your home.
Okay.
And so having that 1% deductible on your roof is really important because it does help offset that cost of that roof. Your roof could cost from $17,000 on up. It's just a good safety net to have that there. So when you're looking at that 1%, you're looking at how much did your home cost you. So if your home costs you $450,000, okay, and you have a $4,500 1% deductible on your house, you're going to pay that $4,500 for that roof.
Okay.
Which is a huge discount compared to having to finance that roof or pay for it out of pocket.
Well, it's a lot better than paying $25,000 up front.
Right.
Absolutely.
That is for sure. And then with the roof, that has been, at least in my world, that has been all the rage, is talking about roofs, nothing but roofs. So with that said, just how important is the roof these days with insurance in determining what your premium is going to be, just how expensive or not expensive your insurance is going to be? Well, I mean, how is the roof now affecting things?
I mean, that's a big part of it. I mean, you have the roof, you have the construction costs, and you have your insurance score. But the roof is going to be, it's one of the main pieces that's going to determine that rate at the end of the day.
I got you.
And, you want to keep in mind, because sometimes your insurance agent don't always know what the actual age of the roof is.
That's right.
So it is good to, tell your agent, hey, look, we just updated our roof. Can you update it in the system? And that way we can update your premium.
That's right.
So it's important even after, not even in the buying process, but even after the fact when you have your house, you should be staying in touch with your insurance agent.
That's absolutely
if it's a good agent, they'll be staying in touch with you. So
I like that. I like that.
Yes.
You ought to have a good relationship with your agents.
That is number one. Yes.
And we're going to get into what makes a good or a bad agent, believe me.
Yeah.
But sticking on the house itself. So we got the roof covered, where that's one of the most primary things that goes into determining, hey, here's what it's going to cost me, and how things are going to look on my insurance. But you also mentioned an insurance score.
Right.
So what goes into that? It's got to be something super simple, right?
Yeah. But no.
You would think,
It's just an insurance score.
Yeah.
So what goes into that?
A lot of people don't even know what their insurance score is.
Right.
And, what goes into it is your claim history, your payment history, and it's a way that the companies kind of judge how risky you are as a client.
yes, that is so true.
Okay.
And the better your insurance score, the better your rate will be.
Now, is your insurance score kind of like your credit score, where it's the same no matter what company's looking at you? Or, how does that work with different companies?
Yeah. So different companies have different rating systems. I know
So it's not one universal rating system.
It's not. 'Cause I know when I was with Allstate, it was more so like credit was the biggest part of your insurance score. And with Alpha, we take in account of a lot of different things. So it's all about the different rating system and that's why it's good to shop around and just see who's going to give you the best rate.
Right. Well, and that was my follow-up question was, so when you see, I've got plenty of clients that do shop for their insurance rates, as they should. I think that's a great thing.
It is.
But they get significantly different quotes a lot of the time, and it's left me confused as wait a minute, why is there a $500 difference in their annual insurance? And that makes a lot of sense, that it comes down to different companies scoring people differently, so it is important to get checked out by multiple people.
Right.
Well, that's good to know. And then as far as claims go, the last thing I want to touch on with that is you buy the house, something goes wrong. We'll say a tree falls through the roof.
Right. We've had a lot of that.
It happens.
Yes, it does.
It happens in Mississippi. Tornado Alley. Here we go.
Yeah.
So that happens. Obviously, that's going to be something that you file a claim for. I mean, we probably don't even have to call you guys to say, hey, should I or should I not?
Right.
My question would be, what scenarios for your house would I need to give you guys a call first and ask, hey, should I file a claim on this or should I not?
Right. Okay, so one, primary example, let's say that you ran to the grocery store, right? Because this happens all the time. And you have your washer or your dryer going, right? And the washer overflows and water is everywhere. You come home, water's everywhere. It's an accident and it's covered on your insurance, of course. But it may be something so simple as getting some towels and cleaning it up and getting, some fans in there, drying it out. Or it could be significant. It could have gone through your entire floor. And I've seen that too, where it actually overflows into the bedroom and the bathrooms. And I mean, it could be a nightmare. So in that situation, absolutely, we're going to need to file a claim. That is a terrible act that happened. And you're going to need more than just some towels and a fan. So
it's funny you say that. When I lived in Houston, I had a friend whose dad was affected by one of the hurricanes that occurred. They had flooding in their house of about 1.5 feet. Ruined the drywall, ruined the floors, ruined everything within that 1.5 feet. I don't know for certain if they filed a claim or not, but I'm leaning towards they did not, because they did all the drywall work themselves.
Oh, wow.
And the flooring work themselves.
Right.
They did all of that themselves with neighbors just coming over helping out with it.
Wow.
Yeah. So I have no idea if they filed a claim, but I'm assuming not, because usually when a claim is filed to have something fixed, y'all have to monitor who is actually coming out there, right?
Yes. Well, we would stay in touch with the homeowner and just make sure that house is brought back to whole, which is the whole point, of course, with insurance.
Right.
You want to make sure that whoever the company is that you have come in, because it's Alpha, we don't have a preferred network that you have to work with.
Okay.
You can work with anybody. It can be any contractor. As long as they're licensed and bonded and you trust them, then you can work with them. And so
Do they have to supply a copy of their license?
they don't.
Okay.
They don't.
And we'll get a we have not gotten to it yet, but we will have a home warranty person come in and talk about that. But I know one of their big things, they do have a preferred network that they operate based out of, but most insurance companies don't. They just care that it gets done.
That's right.
Right.
That's
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Okay.
And also, just to kind of piggyback on that, we were talking about deductibles at first.
Yeah.
And that's another thing you want to think about when you're filing a claim. If the damage is not exceeding your deductible, then you might not want to do it, because if you have $1,000 deductible and the damage might be $250, it doesn't make sense to actually file a claim. It might be better just to
Take care of it yourself.
take care of yourself. That way you don't have a claim on your record and it won't affect your insurance score.
That's right. I agree with that.
So yeah, it affects your insurance scores, and then also I assume affects your payments.
Right.
By doing that.
Right.
So if I file a claim, like I don't know if it's the right terminology, but I would call that maybe a frivolous claim. So if I file a frivolous claim, like let's just use your example, $250, I decide to file a claim and I pay $1,000 instead because I'm a genius. I like just throwing money away. How much does that increase my monthly payment? And I'm not asking for like to the penny, but is there a range that you guys typically see that?
Well, we won't really know until the renewal comes.
So we won't know, and oftentimes it won't be a significant amount. So it'll be a small amount, and it'll be a lot less than what it would have cost you to pay for that claim out of pocket. So, if it's a situation of you're having to file a claim and you have damage, let's say that your deductible was only $1,000, your damages were $4,500. You're only going to see a small, slight increase, and only for a temporary amount of time. And sometimes not at all. It just really depends. We don't know for certain until that renewal comes. But it's important to have that relationship with your agent so that y'all can talk about that before the actual renewal comes out.
You did such a good job of segueing me to this next part. I would love.
There you go. Awesome.
I really look. The reason I have y'all here with me today is because y'all are phenomenal agents. First and foremost,
well, thank you.
If you are watching and you are looking to buy a home, or as far as anything, car
anything
insurance,
you need to insure.
even life insurance, I think.
Life insurance,
Yeah. Please give them a call. Y'all are licensed in Mississippi. Are y'all licensed outside of Mississippi?
We are not.
Okay, so just Mississippians. Y'all are special. Y'all get these two fantastic professionals. If you are not, you better find somebody like them because they are the best.
I would appreciate that.
So when it comes to insurance agents, you can hear a lot of horror stories. You hear your agent doesn't call you back. You hear they completely botched my claim process. I mean, you hear the works. So what I want to ask first is what makes just top qualities in the premium best agents that are out there. What are you seeing out there? So AJ, I'd love to hear from you first, since you're on the newer side of things, and then Christina, I want to hear from you since you've been on the hiring side of things. You know what you're looking for.
I just think you gotta you want somebody that cares about you and that's gonna be transparent. You know, because we hear all the time when customers call in and they feel like it was their last agent was more transactional. They didn't feel their relationship. You know, they didn't feel like they was really taking care of them. It was more so like, hey, this is what you need to pay, blah, 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 you know. But I think good agents actually care about people, and they want to, even when it comes to bad news, delivering bad news, and figuring out how we can, what options we have, you know, there. But I think good agents are people that, you know, they want to take care of you, and they're transparent, just being honest with people. Because at the end of the day, that's all people want. They want somebody to be honest and transparent with them.
Y'all need to find a way to make that like a bumper sticker or a t-shirt. Be transparent, not transactional. That's good. I like that a lot.
Yes.
Now, what are you seeing that's a little bit different than that? What are those top qualities?
I would definitely say, like AJ said, but I would also say that we need to make sure that agents are explaining every detail of their policy, because oftentimes you purchase insurance and you may not know the ins and outs on what's covered and how it's covered. And so, yes, you can say, you know, my house is covered at coverage A, coverage B, but a policyholder is probably not going to understand coverage A and coverage B until you explain it to them and you break it down to them. And it can be so simple and it can just be a conversation. But if you don't have that open conversation, then you really don't know until it comes to claim time and you're like, what do you mean that's not covered? Or what do you mean I don't have this covered in my policy?
A tale as old as time.
Yes, yes. So we need to make sure that us as agents are explaining, but also making sure that we stay in touch with those customers, because those customers, like you said, are shopping. But sometimes it's not about price, right? Because sometimes quality is what they're looking for, and they're willing to pay because of quality. It's just like if you were to select a builder to build you a house today, you would go with that number one builder that you feel that you can trust, that is going to make sure that house is built to last 100 years, not 50 years. We don't want it falling apart and, you know, after we pay it off and it's only 20 years after that. We want to make sure that we can pass it down to the next family or the next generation. So, absolutely.
Now, at the risk of, well, I'll just ask. We've asked about the good qualities. What are some bad qualities? What are things that you know, somebody that is not able to use you guys as agents, because, you know, anyone that could use you should use you, otherwise they're missing out.
Right.
But if, say, someone is out of state listening to this and they are just not sure if they have a good agent or bad agent on their hands, what are some qualities that may indicate a not as talented insurance agent?
I think like Christina said, like if you don't have an agent that, for one, keeps in touch with you, because things change all the time. Like we were just talking about, if you just updated your roof, that's something that your agent need to know. And that's savings that customer can potentially be missing out on because he or she is not aware that the roof was just updated. So I think just, you know, like Christina said, staying in touch. If they're not staying in touch or explaining, going into detail how your policy actually works, then I don't think that's I would say that's not a good agent.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I mean, to piggyback off of that, so, you know, you might file a roofing claim and you may not have replaced your roof yet, okay? So, yes, you may say, well, what do you mean you don't know that I have a new roof on the house? Well, yes, you were paid on that claim, but unless your agent follows up with you and makes sure that they go out there to take pictures of that roof and make sure that that roof was replaced, then your insurance company can't just change the roof age on your house. You know, they can't just say, okay, just because you filed a claim in 2024 means that your roof was replaced in 2024. Well, a roofer could be backed up, right? And they could not have been able to get to you until February of 25.
Right.
You know, so your roof may only be 2025.
Right.
So it's very important to make sure that you have that, but also make sure that your agent is able to explain those coverages to you. Make sure that agent calls out to you. Make sure that that agent emails you. Don't just let an agent renew your policy without talking to you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, yes, it's billed to the mortgage company, but oftentimes talk to policyholders who are like, I've never had an agent actually call me 30, 45 days before my renewal. I didn't know that that could happen, you know?
So I've had 2 guests prior to you two, the real estate agent and a mortgage lender.
Right.
And both of them said the exact same thing that you are saying right now with, they use the specific word that is consistent through everything real estate. It's communication.
Absolutely.
Excellent communication. If you don't have it, everything falls apart.
Right.
I could not agree more. And on my side of things, I do want to selfishly tie this into lending because I'm a lender.
Absolutely.
So I know during our process, if someone is shopping for a home, they talk to their realtor, then they come talk to me, and typically then they will go talk to an insurance agent after that once they're under contract. And I will typically recommend, hey, here's great local agents, but you're allowed to use whoever you want.
Right.
So what would you recommend? Is that process a good process? Would you recommend something different? When should someone actually start looking at getting an insurance quote for a house when they're in the home buying process?
AJ, you want to answer that question?
Yeah,
I think you know the answer to that question.
Jared, I think that's a good process because you do want to get an idea of what your insurance will look like when you're purchasing a home. And just like, you know, because you're a lender, it has to fit inside that budget.
100%.
Right. So
100%.
And you want to have an idea. You don't want to just, you know, fall in love with a home and then realize your insurance score is gonna pretty much keep you from closing the deal.
Well, that's why it's important too. I'll even just tack on. It's important to shop local, not only with your insurance agents, but with your lenders.
Right.
Because your lenders are going to have those connections with the really good agents in the area. They know who not to use because they see them all the time.
Right.
So if I have, like you said, with budgeting, if I have a very tight deal and I have an agent that's giving me, $2,600 a year quote, I'm going to call someone like you guys and say, hey, can y'all shop me out? I need to be under this number so we can make this deal work. So it's very important, I would argue, to shop locally, not only for the agents, but for the lenders, because they will be able to more effectively help you. If you have like a national company that you're talking with, they're not inclined to help out like that. They're just not.
I agree.
So no, I completely agree with you on that. The last 2 things that I want to ask, and we're coming close to time here, but I do want to make sure I ask these 2 questions. I would love to get from at least one of you your worst story, your worst time you've had with the insurance agency world. And it could be, I don't care if it's from your medical past or not, but I would love to hear. I'm sure you've had some crazy clients or some crazy just almost final destination scenarios.
Right. So one thing that I would say about your insurance agent, we're here for you and we want to take care of you, but we want to maintain a professional relationship. Let's say that, okay? We are not licensed counselors.
You're not therapists?
We're not therapists.
All right.
Right.
Good to know.
But we are here for you and we do love on you. We do care about your family. But in that aspect, I would say that's probably our number one thing that we like to explain to clients is that we are your insurance agent.
Right.
So, absolutely. We are professionals at all times.
Right.
Yes.
Do you have any horror stories for us, AJ? Anything that you bring to?
Kind of like what Christina said. I think some customers can kind of forget that you're not a therapist. And
The line disappears between professional and not.
Exactly. Right. Might get a text at 12 o'clock at night, and it's like, you know.
You
one of those things.
You don't answer those 12 o'clock at night texts?
Well, it's one thing if it's an emergency.
Yeah.
You know, that's one thing. But if it's just like, hey, something that, you know. Jerry, you know, I'm pretty sure you have the same.
Dude, I deal with it all the time. All the time.
Yeah.
But one thing, the difference, and again, this is different for me and what sets me apart is on my side of things, I don't mind so much because I tell my clients from the very start, if you need something from me, I don't care if it's nighttime, if it's the weekend, holidays, get in touch with me. But I do caveat that with, if it's after 9 p.m., I probably won't respond. But no, you're absolutely right. You do have those clients a lot that just toe the line and really, I would even say push on that line of professional versus not. And I look, if you're not going to be a therapist, make sure you go talk to your realtor. Realtors are very good therapists.
They are actually.
They are very good at it.
Before.
Oh yeah. We had our realtor on here, and he said he wears many hats, and one of those sometimes is the therapy hat.
Yes.
Well, and the very last thing that I will have you guys do for us while we're here, while I have you, any shout outs that you want to give, any last closing remarks you want to give, please, absolutely. It's been a pleasure to have you both here. So any closing remarks you'd like to share?
Okay. So my first customer ever was Antrice and David Friday. They are some of my best friends, and also they are probably the number one reason why I have been so successful in this business.
Really?
As you know, referrals are your number one compliment.
Oh, they're everything.
And so when I took care of their family, they told everyone, and I mean everyone, about me. So I would say referrals are amazing. That's our bread and butter. That's what makes us successful in this business.
Never ever discount word of mouth.
Yes.
Never ever do it. What about you, AJ? You got anything?
Well, big shout out to Jared for bringing this thing together. Having us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Jared's awesome. So if you need a lender,
yes,
he's your guy. And that's it. And like Christina said, we'd love to help anybody who needs help with their insurance, and go over it in the detail with them. And that's it. That's all we got.
Thank you, AJ. No. I mean, sorry. Thank you, Jared. I appreciate you today. Thank you, AJ, for being here and inviting me. Thank you.
Of course. Absolutely. Well, thank you both for being here. And look, if you need to reach out for insurance needs, you have questions, you're out of state, whatever it may be, if you just want a third set of eyes on something, these are the people. We'll have their contact info in the description. The two people we need to shout out as well. Thank you so much to Cece's Coffee for keeping us caffeinated. Really appreciate that. Kept us awake through the whole podcast this time. And thank you, New Way Realty, for letting us use the space once again to host this podcast. That is going to wrap it up for our third episode of The Pulse. Thank you so much for tuning in and getting a heartbeat on the world of real estate.